folks, I'm standing in front of my greenhouse that I got last year in the month of November from Costco. It's by a company called Yardistry, and I've had it for about 9 months now. It's the month of August. And there's a sale coming up on Costco online in the US. I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but it's going to be $300 off. And I figured that some of you might be looking into buying this greenhouse. So I thought it'd be helpful to do a quick recap of some of the features as well as some of the gotchas. I love the greenhouse, by the way, but there are a few things that you do need to be aware of. I've done videos about this in the past, but I felt that, now that I've had it for 9 months, I can share some of those experiences as well. So let's take a look at some of the features of this greenhouse. So the first thing that I really love about this greenhouse is the size. It is about 8 feet long, 7.8 to be exact, and 6.7 feet wide. And that's just about the right size that for those of us that are blessed with a little bit of a backyard, we might be able to find some space for it. And speaking of the outside, isn't it so stinking cute? I just love the look of this greenhouse. It's a great conversation piece to have in your backyard, and with my green stalks around it, it looks even nicer. Oh, and don't forget the bridge. That bridge is a must-have. Doesn't come with the greenhouse, unfortunately. I got that on Amazon. So let's step into the greenhouse, and I'll highlight some of the key features of this greenhouse. The first thing, and probably the favorite feature of mine for this greenhouse, is that vent that opens automatically. Now, it's a cool day today, so it's not open, but when it gets warmer, that thing opens automatically, and it just takes the pressure off of me to worry about, are my plants cooking in here? Now, during summer, I do leave this door open, and speaking of leaving the door open, you can prop it open, and that's what I do typically, is I leave it open, get some airflow, and to keep the place cooler. Now, as we're in here, you will notice that a lot of the plants that I've got right now in the greenhouse are succulents and stuff. I'll be honest, I live in California. Frankly, a greenhouse is a little bit of a luxury item for me. I don't really need it most of the year. I need it during winter and early spring when I am trying to keep my plants from getting frostbitten, as well as maybe starting some of my seedlings. But other than that, I don't really need the greenhouse. It's just a pretty thing that I like to have in my backyard, and a great conversation piece when my friends come over to visit. So back to the features, the greenhouse itself comes with these shelves. This one going all the way to there. Here I have actually added a table because I wanted some extra room to put things on. But normally during winter, I use this space to put things like my dragon fruit plant or any of my frost tender potted citrus trees that really need to be somewhere where they won't be touched by the frost. So this space without any shelving is actually a feature of the greenhouse to be able to do exactly that. Now, you do have to have some kind of base to set the greenhouse up on. So my husband has put this wooden frame for it at the bottom, and it is sitting on already established concrete. So you will need to have some kind of solid flat surface on which you need to build this greenhouse. And if you do live in a place where there is a lot of wind, then you need to be able to secure this very, very firmly to whatever you're putting it down. I don't have a lot of wind issues, so for me, we just sat it on top of that wooden frame. But if you've got strong winds in your area, you'll need to do something in order to hold it down. And by the way, I can't give you any advice on how to reinforce this so it doesn't fly away. I am not a handy person, but there are a ton of videos online that can help you with that. And you really do need to consider doing that if you live in a windy area, or you may end up not being in Kansas anymore, or California, as the case may be. One more thing I wanted to show you was it does not come with an outlet to be able to thread your electrical through. So we had to actually make that hole there, and then once you make a hole, you actually have to make it airtight because you don't want the cold air coming in during winter. So you have to put something like that piece, that plastic piece that we have put to make the hole as small as possible. So just be aware, no electrical input for this thing. Oh, there's another vent over here as well. That's a feature. That's a really nice feature. When you've got two vents, you've got some nice cross ventilation going. Now, I know that there are some people that close up this vent when they've got really cold winters that they're dealing with. I don't have to worry about it because I've got a very mild winter over here in Northern California. And speaking of building the greenhouse, that's one of the things that you do need to be aware of. This thing is not that easy to set up. It took my husband and my son 2 whole days, working about 6 to 8 hours each day to get this thing set up, and I was helping them. And it's got a lot of moving parts, and it does require some handyman skills in order to be able to do that. It's not just a click and you get it all set up. You've got to actually do quite a bit of work to get this thing set up. Even though in the instructions online it seems like it's very easy to do, it's not that easy. And to complicate matters even further, there are some challenges with the pieces really fitting together. In fact, for us, we were not able to get that vent to fit perfectly, and this has to fit perfectly in order for it to work. And my husband had to do some kind of filing to get it to fit. Other people have had problems with the doors not fitting. So if you get a bad piece, you may need to do some work in order to get things to fit. Another thing about the door, it's a spring-loaded door and it's really nice, and you've got this thing where you can prop it open. However, because it's spring-loaded, it closes gently behind you, and that actually has one problem that I want to tell you about, which is actually pretty important. You see how that jerked when it closed? Now, if your latch is not properly secured in place over here, if it's something like this, when it closes abruptly, it can actually lock you in accidentally. So just make sure whenever you go into the greenhouse, you have your phone with you, and always make sure that you secure it properly before you let it close behind you. Now, I'll put a link to the playlist where I did more detailed reviews on this greenhouse, and do share it around. I think there's a lot of people that might be considering getting this greenhouse, and hopefully they'll find this review useful. Please do give it a thumbs up if you did. And until next time, live green and love your greens.